Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. In today's video we're going to have a look at the Switch 2 after 3 months is it now that it's been out, and just how we feel it's doing, our overall perception of it, our enjoyment of it so far, and just look at some of the key factors in terms of obvious things like hardware and software, but some of the other factors perhaps that are affecting how it's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the statement really, something like, have Nintendo dropped the ball, will be a big topic of this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Now I just want to say before we start, I shouldn't have to say it, but I'm gonna. Please be nice to each other in the comment section. Everyone's got different views. Some people think it's a 400 quid waste of money. Other people think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Mark and I don't agree on what we're going to talk about now necessarily, but we're mates and we can handle it. So just be nice to each other in the comment section. That would be delightful. Thank you. So what do we think about the Switch 2 thus far? Well, let's find out.
Okay, then let's kick off with hardware. So how do you feel about the Switch 2 as a device after 3 months of use?
Much like we said when we first looked at it some 3 months ago, for the most part I am happy with the specs. Now they could be better, of course. Some people believe it's more of a Switch Pro, and I can understand that argument to a degree, but I do think in terms of showcasing itself as a new console, there's enough there that I'm happy with that. It's things like storage, internal memory, things like that are my issue with it. I don't know if they class technically as hardware.
Yeah, I'd class those as hardware. Yeah, they're hardware components.
If that's the case, then one of my biggest issues with it is the size of that internal storage. I just think it's way too low. Bearing in mind some of the things we now know that we'll get onto later, like just how much you actually have to download games. I just think it's a major sticking point.
Yeah, it's funny because when we saw it was 256 gigs, your initial reaction was, wow, great. You know, it's a big step up from the 64 of the OLED, and it seemed that way. But then when the games are 10 times larger, it does become a bit of an issue. My problem with it is it's not the standard. So the standard for handheld PCs tends to be, I say this like the midway range of a Steam Deck would be 512. You know, that's the way that a lot of these companies are going.
Yeah.
That seems like the minimum that you would go for.
Yeah, then obviously you couple that with the fact that the SD cards you need to buy, is it the Express?
Yeah.
Micro Express are at the moment, certainly in the sort of size you might want, difficult to find. And it's just, in my opinion, quite a major stumbling block. It's actually harming my enjoyment of this new console.
Yeah, I mean, before I got my 512 gig card, it was just a constant issue.
Yeah.
Now I've got it, it's okay, but still I'm always full.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those where I know especially you don't like to delete games. You know, you'd rather, and I don't understand that, you'd rather have everything that you want to play ready to go.
Yeah, which is the reason I've always bought physical games, because then when I want to play it, I'll put it in and it's there. If I'm buying digital games and constantly having to delete them, A, it's a faff, but B, you just forget what you've got.
Yeah.
Don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird because I'm playing so many more Switch 1 games because they are on physical.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And obviously the performance of those games on the Switch 2 is better, which is nice, which is very good. But that's where the Switch Pro argument starts to render its head, isn't it? Because if you're playing Switch 1 games at a better performance on your Switch 2, it is effectively a Switch Pro at this point, isn't it?
Did you just make a graphics pun there with rendered?
I may well have done, yeah.
In HD,
Yeah.
120 FPS. Yeah. No, I agree. I think the stories of the Switch 2, it needs to be bigger. Hardware-wise, like, I think everything else is pretty good, but then there's some weird Nintendo-isms that are affecting that.
Yeah.
So internally, you've got the chip, the graphics chip from NVIDIA is fantastic. Like, it does DLSS, it does VRR, these things that can make games run really well without the processor overhead, but no one's using them.
Yeah.
Because no one's got dev kits.
Yeah.
And that might be another topic.
Yeah. It certainly will be. It certainly will be. So I think with hardware, as I say, you know, on the surface of it, I haven't really got any complaints apart from the one I just made, and that is a big one, by the way. But I think there are a lot of little mitigating factors that we will get to in a moment that are causing issues with what the hardware is able to do at the minute. It's been allowed to do at the minute.
I will add one hardware thing that I really don't like.
Yeah.
And it's the screen.
Yes, I was going to talk about the screen actually. So obviously not an OLED screen. And the Switch 1, originally the OG Switch 1 wasn't either. Now, I'm not overly fussed with that decision personally. Yeah. I would have preferred an OLED, don't get me wrong. But I do get that thing of going back to the Switch 1 when we're comparing or making videos on this and that, then going back to the Switch 2, and the difference is stark.
It is, and it's a calculated move. We all know it. We all knew it was going to happen as well. So it's not a huge surprise, and it's not a bad screen in my opinion. There was a lot of talk about like ghosting and stuff. I don't see any of that. I could just have old man eyes. But it's more, like you say, it's the switch back and forth. And plus, I think once you've set that bar, I don't know what the word is, but it just seems a little bit, it's too much planned obsolescence.
Yeah, it's almost counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
To go back a step.
I'd say so, especially when you've got things like Steam Deck OLED, which are your rival, basically.
Yeah.
And that has a 90 hertz OLED screen, which looks glorious.
One thing I will give it, but the thing is, I don't even think you can class this as a positive because it should have been the case anyway.
Yeah.
On the Switch 1, is at least my Joy-Cons work. Because on the Switch 1, they were horrendous. You've seen them, haven't you? You've seen how bad they are.
Yeah.
On 2, I've got the OG and the OLED, and they were both rubbish. They never worked. So just having Joy-Con that work is nice, but I can't give it points for that. It just works, you know.
Yeah, Glen had diseased Joy-Cons from start to finish. I mean, mine were never as bad, but they were pretty darn bad. I do like how quickly they connect now. I think that's good. That's just whatever they've done under the hood works better.
And the magnetic system
is nice.
It's nice. It's good, isn't it? Yeah. Another big one for me when talking about hardware is the battery life. Now, when we first reviewed it, after a few hours play, initial impressions more so, you weren't quite sure on that battery. Now, having had it for a few months, it's not great, is it?
I'm on the side of it's standard. So things like Steam Deck, pretty similar, very similar. What Steam Deck does differently, Nintendo again need to implement, is like a low power mode.
Yeah.
On Steam Deck, you can bring your CPU right down. If the game doesn't need it, you can tailor it.
Yes.
And then it remembers that every time you play. Switch seems to always be in its like, let's go, boys.
Yeah, full on.
Yeah.
I mean, my problem with it is not so much playing the games. As you say, that's pretty standard. I can get on board with that. It's when you're not playing it and you haven't put it in the dock and you come back to it a day or so later and it's lost 35% of its battery.
That's weird.
That don't seem right to me.
No, that's not right.
That shouldn't be happening. That does happen. And if I've been sold another pup by Nintendo,
You might have been.
I'm going to go spare.
You might have
After
done
the
it,
dodgy
right?
Joy-Con gate of the last one. But honestly, it loses some serious battery whilst not being played, but not in docked mode.
In fairness, mine's always in here or being used. You know what I mean? It doesn't tend to sit around for a few days. So I'd have to test it. Someone else, let us know. Have you noticed that?
Let's move on to software then. Now, in terms of how many games have released and what have you, I will say, hardware and some of the bits we're going to talk about certainly in a minute are different. With software, most new consoles have that teething period of not enough games. There are enough in terms of, I don't think anyone can sit there and play, unless you play them literally all day. But variety of games and what have you, it always takes a while for consoles to get up and running.
It absolutely does, yeah. I think having backwards compatibility has saved Switch 2 for me, honestly, because things like Bonanza have been brilliant. Like, that's been a real surprise. I enjoyed that a lot. You haven't got a huge amount, in terms of Switch 2 games to play.
No, I mean, the launch was decent. You had a fair few third-party games, ports for the most part, but that's okay. You just want to get some filler. I don't mean filler in a bad way, but just get some bits out. And then you had Mario Kart World, which I wasn't massively enamored with. To be perfectly honest, it was fine. Donkey Kong Bonanza is the big one so far that's come out. That is very good. And then since then, we've had a few. It's certainly slowed down, hasn't it? And it looks like it's going to start picking up again, which is good. But just the performance of some of these games is not great. And I think that's going to be another little asterisk that we're going to talk about in a minute as to why that might be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we might as well just talk about that now then. So I'd say first party performance has been fine. Yeah, okay, you could argue that the little drops in Donkey Kong were a huge issue, but actually that engine was doing a lot. And it's doing a lot of heavy lifting that potentially it wasn't designed for, I think. It's the team that did Mario Odyssey, and I wonder what they did. Did they just tailor an old engine? And it seems like that is almost the issue here. It seems to be an engine problem. A lot of these games that are performing badly from third parties use the Unreal Engine.
Yep.
And this takes us on to the issue of Nintendo not providing enough dev kits to everyone.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter if, some people say, but this company have got dev kits. Yeah, they might have. They might have 3 dev kits. That's not enough. You need to be able to do, rigorous testing. Then you've got multi-platform releases. That's another thing that's going to play into the worst performance on Switch 2.
Yep.
Because unless you've got a team, dedicated to improving that performance, it's going to suffer.
Yes. Let's talk about this this point that came up recently that Nintendo had been encouraging people to aim for the Switch 1 in terms of the games they're developing. Because I think that ties into lack of dev kits, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, this is the problem. You know, I'm going to sound like the negative one, and that's fine. I like the Switch 2. I will say that now. You know, I like it. I mean, we play it a lot, obviously, for the channel. I'm disappointed not with it, because I think most of what they said is what they've delivered in terms of hardware. But it's a lot of these things that have happened since that it feels like Nintendo weren't ready to release it yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you've got a PlayStation, haven't you? PlayStation 4.
I've got the 4, not
and
5.
I've got the 5. The 5 for me has been the most disappointing console I think that I've ever owned in its first 2 years.
Yes, yep.
Like, it was unbelievable.
Yep.
Like, you couldn't find it anywhere. I managed to get one, and then there were no games. I had like Demon's Souls, and then I was literally there like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, everything else is on PlayStation 4. And it was like that for the longest time. And in all honesty, for its whole lifespan so far, I don't think it's met expectations. So for me, my expectation of what a console launch was so low that this has been not great, but almost as expected.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. And like I say, it's not like the Switch 2 arrived and I turned it on and all the things that I was expecting aren't there.
Yeah.
It does what they said it would on the tin, to kind of coin the phrase. It's more things like lack of dev kits, so third parties can crack on now and get some bits out. It's more something we'll come to properly in a minute, but this silly game key card phenomenon, it's more, albeit, you know, this does kind of contradict what I just said, things like the memory size, which I did know about, but then when you couple that with game key cards, it's a problem you didn't expect to have because you thought you were going to have physical games.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing a few games that are 70 plus gigs.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just beastly. The thing, I completely agree. I do like that Nintendo are at least putting out a few feelers to see how people feel about that stuff. And if they reverse, because I think you've said in the past, like with the DS launch or something,
The 3DS
launch, they kind of went back on a few things.
They dropped the price and then they gave something as a thank you for buying it early to people that had bought it early. It was like an ambassador program where you got some free digital games.
Right.
So it's not, you know, they've got form for doing it, but they've also got form for sticking their head in the sand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, I think with the dev kit situation, that for me is the real they've dropped the ball.
Yes.
Like, there's no two ways about it. As soon as the Switch 2 was leaked, they should have gone, oh crap, sod it. Let's get as many dev kits in as many hands as possible because everyone knows what it looks like anyway. And I guess security is an issue, but it's been out now for a fair old while. They should have had these ready to go.
Exactly. Yeah, and this is what I mean. When we talk about software, I'm not expecting in 3 months a healthy library of games.
No.
I understand that. I didn't buy the PS5, but obviously I was around, I'm alive, I heard about the issues with it, so that's fine. But when you're then hearing that companies don't even have dev kits, so what's going to be the solution moving forward then? Do you know what I mean? In terms of making sure ultimately it does have a good library. It will have, but it just seems very amateur.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? We were just chatting actually about what Marvelous are doing. They are the one developer and publisher that have been really impressive with the way they're doing physical games for Switch 1 and 2. And they're actually releasing dual cartridges. You know, so you buy the Switch 2 version and it has the Switch 1 game on there. That's what Nintendo should have pushed from the get-go.
Yeah.
It just removes all confusion.
Yep.
You buy one edition. It's all on the cartridge. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Enjoy your game.
Yeah, that would have been good, and it's great to see that they are doing that. Marvelous Europe, that is, because in North America, I think they're Xseed, called Xseed.
Yes.
So I'm assuming it's the same practice for both regions, but just to clarify any confusion. But you know, that's great to see, and they are a publisher that have nailed their colours to the mast, and they're going proper physical, which is brilliant. But many haven't, and let's move on to that now, this game key card issue. I haven't bought a single game for my Switch 2, physical game.
Wow.
Not one. I can show you my Switch 1 collection. It's outrageous. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, I've got more games than I'll ever play.
He's not lying.
No, it's honestly, I've got a lot of games for the Switch 1. I don't feel compelled to buy a single game for the Switch 2 because they're not proper physical. Now, I can accept that in terms, if your option is download code, game key card, game key card is better because you can sell it. So it's got some value, some sell-on value. But if you want a physical game, it's not a physical game. I don't see the point in buying it. You might as well by that point just download it because it's not saving you space. It's taking up extra actual physical space on your shelves for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. There are a couple that I think are essential for people to buy. Cyberpunk is one that I'm going to buy.
Which is a physical.
Which is a proper
physical.
physical. And not only a proper physical, but they had to do some work to get it
Yeah.
onto the cartridge. I downloaded that the other day on PlayStation, and it was like 130 gigs.
Yeah.
So they did some work to make that happen.
Sorry, I will say, the PS4, for example, you put the disc in, you still need to download the game from the disc.
Yeah.
So it's not as if Nintendo have suddenly done this thing that no one else has done before. So I do want to be fair and say, you know, there is a precedent for it happening before. But why does that mean Nintendo have got to do it?
But like what you've just said there, you're downloading the game from the disc. You own the game on the disc.
Yes.
It's not like you need the internet. That's the problem, isn't it, with the key cards? You need to download that off the internet. With the PS4, it's copying the content off the disc.
I believe so, yeah.
I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100%, but that sounds about
patches.
right. Patches and stuff is different. We're talking about just the game, yeah. And that's a good point, yeah. So you still need the internet, obviously, where if that's the case, then you wouldn't on the PlayStation. But I just don't see where this has come from. And it was kept so quiet.
Do you know, I think they actually thought it was a good idea.
I
legit think they thought it was a good idea. They thought, oh, yeah, this is great. Like, gives people the option of reselling digital. We can go to all these companies and say, job done. There's your physical, costs you nothing. Like, customers are going to love this. I think they sold it to companies. They said, this is great.
Yeah, probably.
Which is stupid.
Either that, or they said, look, here's how much we're charging for our cartridges, or you can have this stupid thing here for half the price or whatever, you know.
It's literally a piece of plastic.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of physicals, as you said, Donkey Kong, obviously Nintendo ones, and Cyberpunk and the Marvelous people, they're doing a good job. But things like Street Fighter 6 that I wouldn't have bought. I'd just be like, no, it's not worth it. You know, I'll wait and see if they rectify this ridiculous error later on.
It's a shame that decisions in these companies, these big publishing firms, that's where you can see that it's money oriented.
Yeah.
From the sense that if they were proper gamers, and even things like Borderlands 4 that's coming out as a key card.
Yeah.
Like that guy that runs it, I forget his name, the CEO, he is a proper gamer.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, like that's the money has corrupted them, because the head of CD Projekt Red said, the Cyberpunk, was like, we did the right thing.
Yeah.
That's all we did. We just chose to do the right thing.
Yeah. But then things like Bravely Default from Square Enix. And I'm not trying to single out one game.
It's not even a big file.
That's my point. And that's why I've picked this one, because I know off the top of my head it's 10 gigs. 10 gigs? What, we can't even stick it on the cartridge anymore? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Nope.
It's not 70 gigs worth. That coupled with the memory, the storage, I should say, is almost, I mean, I say deal breaker, I've bought it. So
soured your...
I wouldn't have bought it if I had, obviously the channel changes things for us personally, but if it was no channel and I was just consumer looking at it and I knew about the game key card before buying it, I wouldn't have bought it. And not in a, let's wait to see if more games release sort of way, more in a, I didn't buy an Xbox Series S because it was digital only and I wasn't really interested in that. And therefore, with goodwill to everyone else that wants it, I would have just sat that one out, you know? So, yes, I do like it. Yes, I'm sure the games will come. But I've got a really bad taste in my mouth at the minute.
Yeah, it's just a pointless taste as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one that never needed to exist. I was always a digital gamer, and weirdly, it's forced me to be physical for the actual physical games because of the lack of space.
Yeah.
As a console, I do like it because everything about it is better than the Switch One in terms of daily use. You know, just the way it feels. I mean, I use that kill switch grip that notoriously did almost kill some Switches. But they've actually fixed that up now. And the Joy-Cons without that kind of hurt my hands. So yeah, I do like it. I just think they have dropped the ball with that. It's just, you could have walked into that company, couldn't you? Anyone listening would have walked into that company and Nintendo say, all right, we're releasing the Switch 2. Here's what we're doing. And you'd have gone, no, don't do that, for a few of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they'd have listened, the PR around it would have been so much better. Even the prices.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a key card, you can't charge 10 quid more.
No, exactly. The prices of physical games, and it's not just Nintendo, it's not just the Switch. They're obviously going up all the time. But when you're looking at games that are releasing with performance issues on a brand new console, okay, teething problems, haven't had dev kits, there's reasons why, but then that's not reflected in the price.
No.
I think Nintendo got some work to do. Definitely. You know, there's the makings of a very good console here.
Oh yeah.
And it will be good.
I think it's going to be.
It will be good. And the games will come, as I said, but there's some almost goodwill to make up, and they're not very good at that. You know?
Do you know what? The time to buy your Switch 2 will be when the OLED model drops.
Yeah, exactly.
Won't it? You'll have the library, you'll have the screen, you'll probably have a better battery life. Yeah. I mean, that's always the way, isn't it? Early adopters tend to suffer.
Yeah, I just feel we've suffered with some odd things that shouldn't. It's nothing to do with hardware. It's nothing to do with lack of games. It's silly decisions away from that have exacerbated the problem, you know. But there we go. That's our thoughts. Please do let us know yours in the comment section below. But again, just be nice to each other. There's no need to attack each other. It's a computer game at the end of the day. It's you know.
Exactly.
I'm not diminishing it. I play games. You know, I enjoy it. But let's just be grown up about it, shall we?
It would be nice if we see the Xbox stuff come across, because they're starting to put their games out on everything.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
We play their games on my fridge soon. But if we do get Game Pass, like people are talking about, that'd be quality.
That would be very good, yeah. Yeah, thank you for watching this. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit to pick any games up, because you can't get them physically at the minute, you can use our website, switchup.gg, and you get still 5% of your purchase price back as cash back. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.